We made USAA Insurance to help you save. Take advantage of discounts when you cover your home and your ride. Discover how we're helping members save at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Step into the dynamic world of the Joe Kelley Show podcast, streaming straight from the state-of-the-art radio studios of WDBO in sunny Orlando, Florida. You're just seconds away from immersing yourself in Joe's unparalleled perspective on the most pressing current events, the latest news, and everything in between.
All right, so I've got a bunch of important things to talk about here tonight, and I'm pretty excited about all the important things we have to talk about tonight. Stuff like immigration and the Biden family crime syndicate and a bunch of other stuff. Very important, very weighty issues. But first, I want to comment on one of the news stories that I just heard. And Laurel, you were just reporting on this a minute ago. I think it was a report from Sophie Diaz, but Wendy's is going to be introducing AI chatbot-ish thing, someone to take your order at the drive-thru, right? Is that what I understand?
Yes.
So they're going to be testing that. I don't know. We got something going on here. Weird. Someone's got a microphone on that's not supposed to be on, or something like that. Anyhow, so Wendy's is going to offer this AI in the drive-thru. In what was it, Sophie? Was it Ohio? Is that where it was going to happen? It was like in Ohio is where they're testing it or whatever. You don't have to go that far. In fact, you can go right down the street to Checkers. You know the Checkers right there at Colonial and John Young Parkway? There's a Checkers right there in front of the Orange County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff's offices. So that Checkers, if you hit the drive-thru at that Checkers, it is an AI bot that takes your order. And it always catches me off guard, not that I stop and get a Checkers cheeseburger every night on my way home. Not every night. A lot of nights, but not every night. But as I hit the drive-thru there, it's always a robotic woman. It sounds like a real woman, but I know that it's AI, and I know that it's not anybody that's working inside that building. In fact, I've pulled up and I've spoken with the actual human employees inside the restaurant, and I've asked them, "Hey, that's an AI bot, isn't it?" And they say, "Yeah, it sure is." And I'd love to see the behind the scenes on that. I'd love to see where it's located and how they do that. But it seems a smarter way to do it, to be able to take orders from a central location rather than having a someone put down the griddle that they're cooking on, or put down the spatula, or put down the tongs or whatever it is they're using in the kitchen to take an order like that. Laurel, have you ever been to the Checkers there down at Colonial and John Young Parkway?
I have not. No, I pass it every day. I've never been to it, though.
Seriously, they have the best burgers. They actually serve a burger that has French fries on it. Like if you ever put French fries on your burger, they have a burger that comes with French fries on the burger.
Yeah, I know. In Pittsburgh, we call that Promanis.
Promanis?
Yeah.
Pittsburgh does everything kind of weird, though.
Pittsburgh. It was cool until it was Pittsburgh. Now it's not.
No. The sandwich is cool. The name is weird.
Oh, wow.
What is it called again?
Promanis.
Promanis.
And it's got coleslaw and French fries.
The coleslaw sounds good. I'm not a big fan of having French fries on my burger, but I would be totally down for AI at the drive-thru. I think that's a smarter way to do it. I don't know if you guys realize this, but when you watch there's been two technological changes, really. But an evolution in television news media. I don't know if you know this, but back in the day when television news is on, when you're watching your favorite local TV news station, they used to have humans that would operate the cameras. There used to be a person who would zoom in and zoom out and move the camera this way and move the camera that way. Well, then they roboticized all the cameras so that they could eliminate those positions. So they stopped using humans to move the cameras around on set, and they put them on wheels, and they made them robotic. Well, then they've taken one step further, and almost all TV stations, not all, in fact, I to this day, I don't believe Channel 9 is doing this, but most other TV stations operate their robotic cameras, which would basically be a floor director, out of a central location. And for most of the TV stations, that central location is Las Vegas. Las Vegas is where they have all these floor directors that move all the cameras from a centralized location rather than having someone in a local newsroom doing that. Just some of the technological advances that have happened both in fast food and in television news. I thought you guys would like to get caught up on that. Now, speaking about television news, Donald Trump is going to be on CNN tonight, and I want to hear from you if you plan on watching CNN tonight, because I'm guessing that if you are listening to this show, you may not be the biggest fan of CNN, but you may be the biggest fan of Donald Trump. So will you cross that threshold and watch CNN to watch Donald Trump tonight, knowing, even as Donald Trump knows, that Donald Trump may get the short end of the deal here. Donald Trump may well get a bad deal by going on CNN tonight, a network that he has forever called fake news. At least, since 2020, he's called fake news. 2018, he's called fake news. This is Donald Trump today.
I'll be doing CNN tonight live from the great state of New Hampshire because CNN is rightfully desperate to get those fantastic Trump ratings back. They were ratings like none other, and they want them back. They made me a deal I couldn't refuse. Could be the beginning of a new and vibrant CNN with no more fake news, or it could be a total disaster for all, including me. Let's see what happens tonight at 8 o'clock.
Is that craziness? I mean, the arrogance, the self-centeredness of a promo that Donald Trump made. I got to hear it again. He does a 30-second promo promoting his show tonight, his appearance tonight on CNN, and making fun of CNN at the same time. That is not the usual move for a political candidate about to go on a network.
I'll be doing CNN tonight live from the great state of New Hampshire because CNN is rightfully desperate to get those fantastic Trump ratings back. They were ratings like none other, and they want them back. They made me a deal I couldn't refuse. Could be the beginning of a new and vibrant CNN with no more fake news, or it could be a total disaster for all, including me. Let's see what happens tonight at 8 o'clock.
So 8 o'clock is the same time that Sean Hannity is on, and it's the same time that Sean Hannity is going to be interviewing Mike Pence. Now, if it was just ratings to ratings on a normal night, the Sean Hannity show would would surpass CNN's viewership in the 8 o'clock hour prime time on a weeknight. But with Donald Trump doing a 1 hour town hall on CNN at the same time, where will your loyalty be tonight at 8 o'clock? Are you going to be watching Sean Hannity on Fox, or are you going to be watching Donald Trump on CNN? 844-580-WDBO. You can join me at 844-580-9326. Use the open mic in the WDBO app. I will tell you that I don't watch, and I've said this 1,000 times before, and honestly, I think this is one of the ways I try to maintain what sanity I have left. I don't watch any cable news at all, and I'm a news junkie. I love the news. I love it. But I find that my anxiety and stress levels watching continuous cable news, which I like a lot of people, I did that for a few years. I would just continuously have on Fox News or CNN or some sort of news on in the background. But I just find that for my mental peace and happiness, it is better if I don't engage in that, because it just frustrates me all day. I either get frustrated by what the politicians are saying, or I get frustrated by what the reporters are saying, or by what the anchors are saying, or by what the analysts are saying. It just aggravates me to have 24 hours of that. So I rein it in. But I will tell you, tonight at 8 o'clock, I think I'm going to tune into CNN. I think I'm going to tune in and see how that goes with Donald Trump and the team from CNN. I mean, that is going to be so interesting to see. And this is, keep in mind, this is the new debate. We're not going to have debates in this presidential election. At least if things remain as they currently are, we're not going to have presidential debates. So this is it. This is your way to see a candidate in action, to see whether or not they're able to perform on their feet, on their toes, and be able to answer questions And what kind of questions do you think CNN should ask of Donald Trump? Do you think it's going to be any kind of questions that are relevant to his presidential campaign, or do you think they're just going to ask about the sexual assault case from yesterday and some of the other issues that plague only Donald Trump? They don't plague the rest of the nation. They only plague Donald Trump. So I suspect they will ask only Donald Trump questions and not presidential type questions. I'm sure they'll ask about January 6th. I'm sure they'll ask about the E. Jean Carroll case. They'll ask about anything that they can to embarrass Donald Trump. But I don't expect that Donald Trump is going to be well received by the audience. Now, there is going to be an audience there for the Trump town hall tonight. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a town hall. It would just be an interview like the softball interview that Joe Biden got on MSNBC last Friday night. You can join me now at 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. Coming up in a few minutes, we did get word from Biden today. So the Washington Post, which has done nothing but give good coverage to the Biden administration since he took office. But the Washington Post this week had an editorial that took Biden to task for not having enough news conferences, for not answering enough questions from the media. Well, that was yesterday's Washington Post. And then today, suddenly, Joe Biden is taking a couple of questions from the media. So we'll hear the questions asked of him and his response coming up in just a minute. Gary is joining us in Orlando at 844-580-WDBO. Hi, Gary. You're on the Joe Kelley Show. How are you?
Hey, Joe. How's everything, buddy?
Good.
Nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
Hey, just, Sean Hannity is on Fox at 9 o'clock on the evenings.
9 o'clock. Yeah, see, I don't watch the network news or the cable news channels. So who's on at 8 o'clock?
Well, I'm going to watch Trump on CNN.
Right, but who's on Fox at 8 o'clock?
They got Tucker Carlson. They got weekly rotating guests until they find an individual.
That was Tucker's shift?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So what? Listen, but you're going to watch CNN. You're going to watch CNN tonight, though.
Oh, no doubt. I never watch CNN, but I watch Trump, and I think the commercial, the 30-second thing he just aired here. Yeah. I think it's hilarious.
I do too.
That is just funny as heck. That's Trump, man.
Yeah, that's classic Trump.
And I love DeSantis, but I think Trump's got too much baloney around him that he shouldn't write. I think DeSantis hopefully will get it, and then we'll see what happens. But that's Donald Trump right there, buddy.
Yeah, Donald Trump.
That's all I got to say.
Thank you so much for your call, Gary. Donald Trump definitely feeds on the negativity. He feeds on enemies. He feeds on anger. He feeds on rage. I mean, that all boosts Donald Trump. So he likes, and I had this discussion with one of my colleagues here at work. Josh and I were talking about this one day, and I said, I like confrontations. I like challenges. I like interpersonal human challenges. I like when an employee is misbehaving, because to me it is enjoyable to engage somebody in that matter. And I don't mean argue with someone. I just mean I like the strategy involved in helping someone get through a problem, getting through a project or a problem. I enjoy that. When my kids were younger and they used to throw temper tantrums, that was my favorite time with the kids, when they got really upset, because that to me showed, just their very raw emotions. It showed me who they really were and who they can be, when they get emotional. And I'm not saying that Donald Trump is getting emotional, but I do like when Rage Trump rears his head, because he is so unorthodox. He is so unlike any other political candidate we've ever had in our lifetimes, and probably in the rest of our lifetimes as well. Depending, I know some of you guys might not live very long. I don't know, but I'm planning on being here till I'm 100. So I feel like I got a few years left in me. You can join me at 844-580-WDBO. Hit me up in the open mic and the WDBO app. The very brief message from Joe Biden actually speaking to the media today. We'll have that for you coming up next.
Hey, this is Kevin from Apopka. I didn't get to hear the Rage Trump ad If you could, would you play it again so I could hear it?
Yeah, I'm happy to play it. I wouldn't so much call it a rage Trump ad. It was just a comment. It was a 29-second promotion, if you will. Donald Trump promoting that he's going to be on CNN tonight.
I'll be doing CNN tonight live from the great state of New Hampshire because CNN is rightfully desperate to get those fantastic Trump ratings back. They were ratings like none other, and they want them back. They made me a deal I couldn't refuse. Could be the beginning of a new and vibrant CNN with no more fake news, or it could be a total disaster for all, including me. Let's see what happens tonight at 8 o'clock.
You know, it is interesting because Trump says they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. First of all, Godfather. Secondly, it's not like CNN is paying him. I mean, CNN is not, they didn't work out some sort of deal, a lucrative deal, making Donald Trump an offer he can't refuse and paying him to go on CNN. They didn't pay him to go on CNN. The only real offer, the only thing that Donald Trump gets out of this would be exposure to CNN's audience. And traditionally, that audience is pretty small. But tonight, I have a feeling the audience is not going to be its traditionally small audience.
Of course I'll be watching Trump on CNN tonight. What conservative wouldn't be? Hell yeah, we want to see Trump on CNN for an hour, however long it is, to just make the liberals' heads fly right off. This will be awesome. Trump 2024, baby.
You know, I have no doubt that Donald Trump is probably incredibly calm going into this. If anybody is going to be nervous going into this town hall tonight, I would think it would be the moderator who would be nervous because Trump will find ways to get under your skin or find ways to embarrass you or find ways to ridicule you.
Joe, Trump going on CNN tonight is brilliant. He already has an audience base of Republicans, but he wants to reach the people that voted for Joe Biden and prove to them what idiots they were and what bad shape the country's in. I think it's a brilliant move, and he's taken a few punches before, and I don't think that he's going to back down from CNN if they give him a hard time.
We're also talking about AI in the drive-thru at your local burger chain. It took me a second to figure it out, but this open mic here, he just has the letters backwards. He says IA, but he means AI.
Well, I don't mind the IA because they're probably a lot nicer than some of these people you get in a drive-thru. So
yeah,
IA is good for me. I don't think they can be rude to you. So let's go.
Yeah, that's
Have a great day.
Honestly, when I hit the Checkers drive-thru, the AI bot has never been anything other than very nice to me, and to my knowledge, has never messed up an order. I don't know, but that still comes down to not about taking the order as it is whoever's filling the bag. All right, hang on. You're going to hear Joe Biden as Joe Biden finally spoke publicly today for the first time in a long time. We'll get that. It was a very brief couple of statements from Joe Biden. That will be coming up next here on the Joe Kelley Show. Stay with us. By the way, I thought I corrected myself when I was on with a caller, Gary. Well, Gary corrected me and said what time Hannity is on. So yeah, I got that. Hannity is on at 9, and 8 o'clock tonight is going to be CNN. That'll be the town hall with Donald Trump. Now, Joe Biden today at the White House asked a question. He took questions, which is very unusual for Joe Biden. But the day after the Washington Post called him out for not taking media questions, evidently he decided to take a media question. So this is Joe Biden getting a question about the southern border today at the White House.
Title 42, is the United States ready for the surge of people that's going to come across the border starting later this week?
I spent about close to an hour with the Mexican president today. We're doing all we can. The answer is it remains to be seen. We've gotten overwhelming cooperation from Mexico. We also are in the process of setting up offices in Colombia and other places where someone seeking asylum can go first. So, but it remains to be seen. It's going to be chaotic for a while. And as an example, as I raised in the meeting, when they said, well, we're going to cut and no spending more money. So what the hell happens? If you cut, you're going to cut people at the border? You're going to cut agents at the border? We need more at the border, not less at the border.
I just can't believe that guy's in charge of the United States. I just cannot believe that we somehow, the greatest nation on the planet, have that guy as our president, a guy that can't articulate a complete sentence. And then he says, we're in the process of setting up offices in Colombia. Oh, you're in the process of that? Really? You're just getting that started then? Whoa. The border was a crisis the day you took office, the day you stopped the Trump wall, the day that you dropped the Trump border policies. The border was a crisis from day one of your administration. And yet you're just now in the process of setting up offices to deal with this. That just blows my mind. 844-580-WDBO.
Hey, Joe, Donald Trump may be narcissistic. There's no doubt about that. But he's absolutely right in his assessment of the upcoming event tonight. I'll just have to watch him.
Yeah, we were just asking, are you going to watch Donald Trump tonight on CNN, a town hall with Donald Trump? I haven't watched CNN in years. But I do think that I'll make it a point to tune in tonight at 8 o'clock.
Honestly, Joe, I have better things to do. So I will wait for the morning time and listen to Scott and Nez break it down. Then on my way home from work, I'll listen to you break it down. So that's what I'm doing.
And honestly, as much as I love hearing that, I think that is the healthiest way to consume news. I think when you sit and watch cable news, be it MSNBC, CNN, Fox, Newsmax, OAN, whatever it is, if you're watching 24-hour cable news channels, that is too much news, guys. That is too much. It's too much for your brain to handle. It's too much for your heart to take. It is too much. You got to find joy and laughter and not just rage. And I highly recommend what that open mic just said, and that is counting on us. We're going to have the highlights for you coming up tomorrow morning on Orlando's Morning News with Scott and Ez. If there are any highlights remaining to be had, you'll have it coming up tomorrow night here at 5 o'clock on WDBO on the Joe Kelley Show. Hey, I cannot remember, Laurel, if we mentioned this last night in the chat room or mentioned it on the air last night, and it's easy to get those things confused because basically we're sitting in front of microphones either way and we're talking. Did I mention last night on the air, or was it in the chat room, that the current champion on Jeopardy is a transgender champion? Did I mention that?
I think that was just on the stream.
I think it was just in the stream. Mm-hmm. So the champion this week there's a Masters tournament that's in prime time, but the regular Jeopardy that's on during the daytime at 6:30 that comes on. But the woman who is winning is a trans woman, and quite famously, a different trans woman, Amy Schneider, won like a record number of those shows. She didn't beat Ken Jennings, but she is one of the greatest champions that Jeopardy has ever had. And Amy Schneider, who's also trans, she had sent out a tweet welcoming the new Jeopardy winner into the trans club of Jeopardy champions. And I don't know if Amy Schneider actually outed her or if it was openly known. But if you're a fan of Jeopardy, the woman who has won every night this week is a trans woman. Just thought you'd like to know that. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. Trump's going to be on CNN tonight. Are you going to cross the boundary? Are you going to cross over to the dark side to watch CNN tonight because Donald Trump is going to be there?
Yes, we'll be watching Trump tonight. This is must-see TV with a big bowl of popcorn and a cold beer.
I like the way you say, presumably not Bud Light. I would imagine Bud Light is not going to be on the menu tonight for people who are going to be watching Donald Trump.
Most real conservatives stopped watching Fox News a long time ago. I would imagine that they'll probably watch Trump tonight.
Yeah, I would think so too. We've talked about AI in the fast food drive-through. They're going to be testing it at a Wendy's, evidently in Ohio, but we're already doing it here in Orlando. If you go to at least, in fact, I went to a Wendy's once that had some sort of computerized spokesperson there in the drive-through, but I think that was a short test that lasted a very short period of time. But the Checkers, right down the corner from us, their drive-through has AI in it every night anyway. every day when I drive through. Not that I get a cheeseburger every single day when I drive home from work. It's close to every day, but it's not every day.
Hey, Joe, the guy taking the money at the drive-thru can also take the order. So what's an AI saving them?
Yeah, I think the AI gives them a happy voice, gives them someone who is excited to be there. That's the thing about AI, and that's the thing that we all have to be worried about, is AI never takes a day off. AI never has an attitude problem. AI never gets sick. AI never comes to work hungover. AI never leaves work mid-shift. I mean, AI is dependable. Artificial intelligence is dependable. And that is why places like Wendy's and others are making that change, because they want someone dependable. As fast food workers have been complaining that they don't get paid enough, companies are responding by saying, yeah, okay, that's fine. We'll find a cheaper way to replace you. And that's one of the cheaper ways that they're replacing employees, is with AI taking the orders at the drive-thru.
Hey, Joe, go figure the odds of the Biden administration wanting to press charges against George Santos today, of all days, when they knew that the investigation team was presenting evidence of them taking money from foreign countries all the way right down to the grandkids. Now, that's a family affair, huh?
Yeah, I don't think it is a coincidence that George Santos is making the news on the same morning that Congressman Comer reveals, and we're going to get into that in greater detail coming up a little bit later on, but as James Comer reveals the Oversight Committee's investigation into the Biden crime family and how the Biden family has attempted to hide more than $10 million in foreign payments. And when you find out how many of the Biden family members have been wire transferred money. Now, I can count on maybe two fingers all the times in my life I have been wire transferred money, and both are related to real estate transactions. When a house sells, then you often get a wire transfer of whatever it was that you made from that house. But in the Biden family, evidently they all get wire transfers right down to the children. The minor children in the Biden family are getting wire transferred money. That is breathtaking, that the Biden children are also on the receiving end of this kind of wire transfer money. Listen as this is spelled out from James Comer this morning, and again at about the same time that Santos was being arrested.
Joe Biden's son, Joe Biden's brother, Joe Biden's brother's wife, Hunter Biden's girlfriend or Beau Biden's widow, however you wanted to write that, Hunter Biden's ex-wife, Hunter Biden's current wife, and 3 children of the president's son and the president's brother. So we're talking about a grandchild. That's odd. Most people that work hard every day's grandchild doesn't get a wire from a foreign national or anything like that. So
yeah, can you imagine getting a wire transfer, a grandchild, a minor child getting a wire transfer from a foreign national? How the hell does a child even have a bank account to which to wire money? I mean, it is insane, and yet I wouldn't count on the networks covering this extensively, if at all, if they cover this. You know that if it was Donald Trump, they would be all over it. But because it's Biden, and because the network media, the Washington press corps is all in on the Biden family, it's not that big of a deal to them. It's just more conspiracy theories as far as they are concerned. But they drink things up like a lapdog if it has Donald Trump's name next to it. My name is Joe Kelley. You can join me at 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. Use the open mic in the WDBO app.
I'll be doing CNN tonight live from the great state of New Hampshire because CNN is rightfully desperate to get those fantastic Trump ratings back. They were ratings like none other, and they want them back. They made me a deal I couldn't refuse. Could be the beginning of a new and vibrant CNN with no more fake news, or it could be a total disaster for all, including me. Let's see what happens tonight at 8 o'clock.
I don't know. It just makes me giggle hearing Donald Trump talk like that about the network he's going to be. Honestly, that sounds like a Saturday Night Live promo, doesn't it? You know, the beginning of it, doesn't that sound like he's promoting he's going to be hosting Saturday Night Live?
Joe.
Oh, hang on. That's not the right one. Let me go back to the right one again. But it sounds like he's doing an SNL promo.
I'll be doing CNN tonight live.
Hey, I'll be
from the
hosting
great
Saturday
state of
Night
New Hampshire
Live
because-
tonight. I mean, it's kind of what it sounds like a little bit there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm watching Trump on CNN tonight. I mean, who wouldn't? This is going to be CNN's biggest night.
Yeah.
They're going to put on a show. Trump's going to be open and talk about everything he does. I mean, who doesn't want to watch that? I mean, it's going to be huge.
I would imagine.
Huge.
Yes, thank you, James. I would imagine that it is going to be probably the biggest night of ratings for CNN, perhaps ever, but certainly in a very long time. James, check that. John is joining us in Maitland talking about Checkers AI. Hi, John. How are you?
Hey, how are you, Joe? So here's, to start this, have you ever been to a fast food place, made your order, and we're in a real hurry, and then took off and found out half of the order was messed up?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, we've all been through that.
Okay, with real humans, okay? Now, there is a Checkers that I go to in Fern Park. Now, I never, and I've been writing about AI, but I never thought this was an AI thing. I believe it's just about as automated as you get when you dial into some company and get all of these prompts to go from one station to another. Or
so you think it's less AI and more just kind of
it's just pre-programmed stuff, but yeah, I don't think it's AI. I think it's the AI that we're looking at now. I think it's just developed from years of, I don't know what they call it when you call into a place and then some pre-recorded voice comes on. It's a pre-recorded voice. The thing is that I could, so far, this thing's been able to take my orders. They're very simple, and I go and everything's fine. But I can just imagine if it starts getting complicated, there are going to be some postal moments out there where people are just going to get fed up.
You absolutely may well be right about that, John, and certainly time will tell, because I think we're going to see a lot more, not less, AI in the future. Hey, if you're just joining us, we are talking about, this.
I'll be doing CNN tonight live from the great state of New Hampshire because CNN is rightfully desperate to get those fantastic Trump ratings back. They were ratings like none other, and they want them back. They made me a deal I couldn't refuse. Could be the beginning of a new and vibrant CNN with no more fake news, or it could be a total disaster for all, including me. Let's see what happens tonight at 8 o'clock.
I wonder if that's scripted or if Trump just comes up off the hip with that, or if that's actually scripted somehow, some way. Either way, it's classic Trump. I love it. It sounds like he's promoting an appearance as a host of Saturday Night Live, but instead it's a CNN town hall. Paul Cross.
Yeah, you know what? That's a brilliant move. Absolutely brilliant. It's a no-lose situation because if they get poor ratings, then it's just crappy CNN.
Yeah.
If they get great ratings, then it's all his credit. So he's brilliant. He's brilliant when it comes to this. He plays the game so well, and we'll just have to wait and see. But again, if the ratings go skyrocketing, it's all Trump.
And the ratings are going to be huge for that tonight on CNN. It's going to be their biggest night, perhaps ever. Biggest night, certainly in a very, very long time. Congressman Comer, who is the head of the House Oversight Committee, today detailing the Biden crime family is how the Bidens have been skimming money for years now to the tune of $10 million or more. So here's Comer from early this morning.
With the Bidens and their associates. It has received these bank records pursuant to 4 subpoenas I've issued to different banks. These were targeted and specific subpoenas, and each was different based on the information we believed the banks possessed. Every one of those subpoenas returned valuable information that had been unreported and that contributed to this committee's understanding of how the Bidens conducted their businesses. The committee is concerned by the complicated, suspicious network of over 20 companies we have identified the Bidens and their associates used to enrich themselves. Most of these companies were limited liability companies formed during Joe Biden's vice presidency. The bank records show the Biden family, their associates, and their companies received over $10 million from foreign nationals and their companies. Some of that money came from a Chinese company and went to Hunter Biden's company. Other transfers occurred with the help of Rob Walker, who then sent it on to different Biden family members. This is not how lawful businesses operate. Chinese nationals affiliated with the Bidens created limited liability companies in the United States and then in a short period of time transferred their interest to a Chinese company that sent money to the Bidens. This is not normal. Hunter Biden and his associates courted business in countries that correlated directly with Joe Biden's work as vice president. This is also not normal. It is not ethical.
You know, there are people that to this day believe that Donald Trump colluded with the Russians to win the White House. There are people that still believe what has been demonstrably proven to be untrue time and time again. But Americans still believe that to be true because the network media gave unlimited time to the committee that was, quote unquote, investigating the collusion. And then the January 6th committee got unlimited time, prime time even, to air all of their nonsense. It is interesting how the very same cable news networks that would drop everything they're doing in a heartbeat to be able to air the committee work in prime time doesn't treat this one the same way. It's a committee out of the Congress investigating a president, but it's a president that they like. So it's not going to get the same coverage as the coverage of Donald Trump. And Comer spelled out just how many family members are involved in this scheme.
Joe Biden's son, Joe Biden's brother, Joe Biden's brother's wife, Hunter Biden's girlfriend or Beau Biden's widow, however you wanted to write that, Hunter Biden's ex-wife, Hunter Biden's current wife, and 3 children of the president's son and the president's brother. So we're talking about a grandchild. That's odd. Most people that work hard every day's grandchild doesn't get a wire from a foreign national or anything like that. So
and it really is amazing. And if there's a child, a minor child that has a bank account, a minor child cannot, in normal circumstances, have their own bank account. It has to be what's it called? A minor in, because I have one of those accounts with what was one of my minor children. She's not a minor anymore, but there has to be an adult on the account as well. So if there are children that are named, Biden children that are named, certainly there's got to be an adult that is associated with that very same bank accounts.
I like listening to you so much, Joe, but you complain about Trump and you complain about Biden. Do you want a man who is strong and who will defend our country and get us out of this mess? Or do you want I'm sorry to say, a wimp like Biden who will just drag us down and pull us towards all the craziness that we're already in?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there in that open mic. I complain about both. Yes, I do complain about both because I honestly have no allegiance to Trump or to Biden. Yes, I am a registered Republican. Yes, I vote conservative. I vote Republican. But I have no personal allegiance to anybody. I don't owe Donald Trump anything. I certainly don't owe Joe Biden anything. My view is that it is my position to not go on the radio and praise lawmakers, praise politicians, because at the end of the day, they work for us. They're public servants, and I don't trust them. I don't trust Donald Trump any more than I trust Joe Biden. I don't trust any elected officials. I don't trust the mayor. I don't trust county commissioners. I don't trust librarians. I don't trust anybody who is in a position of authority. And frankly, I think that's a position that we should all hold and not put all of our faith into one politician or one political party, because I think we lose sight of what's important when we pledge blind allegiance to a party or to a person. And so, yeah, I will criticize both Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And if he throws his hat in the ring, Ron DeSantis, even though I would rather have Ron DeSantis as our GOP nominee. I'd rather be able to vote for Ron DeSantis in the presidential election than be able to vote for Donald Trump. But I've also said time and time again that the Republican nominee, whoever it is, has to be someone who can beat Joe Biden. And I just don't know that Donald Trump can beat Joe Biden. He didn't beat him last time. I know a lot of you guys think the election was stolen. But currently, Joe Biden is in the White House. He took the oath of office. He is currently our president. And Donald Trump is not currently our president. So there you go. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. And we've had a lot of discussion about AI tonight, as well as Wendy's announces they're going to start testing AI in the fast food drive-thrus. And we were talking in the last hour about it. They've got something similar to that at Checkers, though one of our callers had suggested it was more like a phone tree type system than genuine AI, and that may well be the case.
Artificial intelligence at the fast food drive-thru? It was about time we had some kind of intelligence at the fast food drive-thru.
Ow. You know, some of those are kids going to school. Some of them are. But yeah, I get where you're coming from on that. All right. You can also check out the video stream right now if you want to go to the WDBO Facebook page. We've got our video stream up there, and you can watch the behind the scenes here. You see how the sausage is made, if you will. If you want to check that out right now, that is on the WDBO Facebook page.
Joe, I think the network TV channels will follow this story about Biden and the money he's been scamming, because quite frankly, they don't want him to run for president either. So this is a way to get him out of the picture.
Well, and I heard that same opinion expressed on a talk show earlier today, and I would disagree in that. Unless and until the Democrats have a better option, they're going to support Joe Biden. The media is going to support Joe Biden. Unless and until there's an actual Democrat alternative to Joe Biden, they're going to cover for Joe Biden because they don't want Kamala Harris. It can't be Kamala Harris as the president. I mean, she has proven time and again that she is not qualified to be vice president, much less president. And the networks aren't going to tank Joe Biden for fear that they will end up with Donald Trump. So they will continue to protect Joe Biden unless and until there is an alternative to Joe Biden. Now, this as Title 42 drops tomorrow night at midnight Eastern. And that is when the flood of migrants are expected to come across the border. Today, Alejandro Mayorkas, the U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security, addressed the public on Title 42 dropping.
Joe Biden's son, Joe Biden's brother.
Hang on, I've got more Joe Biden audio. Here's Mayorkas.
On Thursday, tomorrow, May 11th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, the Title 42 public health order will terminate. At that point, we will once again process people at our southern border using our immigration enforcement authorities under Title 8 of the United States Code. Let me be clear. The lifting of the Title 42 public health order does not mean our border is open. In fact, it is the contrary. Our use of our immigration enforcement authorities under Title 8 of the United States Code means tougher consequences for people who cross the border illegally. We are making it very clear that our border is not open, that crossing irregularly is against the law, and that those who are not eligible for relief will be quickly returned. Today, alongside the Department of Justice, we are finalizing a new rule to encourage individuals to use available, lawful, safe, and orderly pathways to enter the United States.
The Biden administration really is convinced that the American people are dumb. The Biden administration just thinks they can get out there and say words, and the American people are going to just fall in line and buy into what they're saying. They Just Karine Jean-Pierre alone lies more than certainly any administration has lied before. Do you want to know how many illegal immigrants have entered the United States just under Joe Biden? Forget about all the illegal immigrants that came under previous administrations for just a second. I mean, it's worthy to point out that every administration has had illegal immigration, but none quite like we have seen in recent years under the Biden administration. I want you to hear the number of people that have come in just since the beginning of the Biden administration. It'll absolutely knock your socks off when you hear how big this number is. It is bigger. It is bigger than the population of most U.S. states. More people have come across the border since Joe Biden has been president than the population of almost all of our states, with the exclusion of about 4 or 5 states. I'll have that exact number for you coming up next. It's going to, as I said, it's going to knock your socks off when you hear how many people have come across the border as Joe Biden looks the other way, as the Biden administration looks the other way, as the Biden administration lies about how secure our border is when it is absolutely not secure. We'll get into that coming up next. Stay right there. All right, are you ready for this number? It's huge. This is a big number. We're talking about how many people, how many illegal immigrants, undocumented immigrants have entered the United States under Joe Biden. Okay, so I've got to kind of start from the beginning here. According to Customs and Border Protection, since January 2021, when Biden took the oath of office, there have been 5,118,661 encounters with illegal immigrants along the southern border. Now, when they say encounters, they mean those are people who came into the United States. They encountered them, they counted them, and they let them enter the United States. Then you add to that number the number of known so-called gotaways. Those are undocumented immigrants who are either spotted visually by border agents or detected via unmanned monitoring equipment and not apprehended. So these gotaways this is the known number of gotaways. And then you've got the unknown number of gotaways, which there's no way to count that. There's no way to know. So through the first half of Biden's term, January 2021 through January 2023, Customs and Border Protection reported 1.2 million gotaways. That is at least 1.2 million illegal immigrants were confirmed to have unlawfully crossed the U.S.-Mexico border. So with 5.1 million encounters of undocumented immigrants since January 2021 and at least 1.2 million gotaways, the confirmed minimum number of illegal immigrants who have come into the United States since Joe Biden promised to build back better is 6.3 million people. 6.3 million people. That is greater than the entire population of Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, D.C., Hawaii, Idaho, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, and I'm just on the L's. There's a bunch of M's, a couple of N's, a whole lot of N's. And, of course, Florida's not on that list. Neither is California, nor is New York. But pretty much every other state doesn't have a population as big as Joe Biden has allowed into the United States. And, it's one thing if Joe Biden would just level with the American people and say, you know what, the economy is in shambles in the United States. Nobody wants to work. We need foreigners to come into this country and work. We want an open border. If Joe Biden was honest with the American people, I think there would be a percentage of the American people who would say, yeah, you know what, I agree with Joe Biden on this. I wouldn't be of the percentages that agree with Joe Biden on it, but there would be some people. But the fact that he's lying about it, the fact that during every Karine Jean-Pierre news conference, when Peter Doocy asks if the border is secure, and she rambles and rambles and rambles and ultimately says, yes, the border is secure. I mean, we know they're lying. They're absolutely lying. And you just cannot trust. You can't trust the Biden administration. And to that end, I don't think you can trust frankly, any politicians. I think under varying degrees, they're all liars, and I am leery of all of them. Coming up next, there is a movement underway to build a breathtakingly expensive baseball stadium in Orlando, a $1.7 billion baseball stadium for a baseball team that we do not have yet in Orlando. We're going to talk some baseball stadiums, public venues, athletics. We're going to get into that coming up next. Stay right where you are here on the Joe Kelley Show at 844-580-WDBO. All right, I feel slightly vindicated. Not slightly. I feel entirely vindicated here. So I am watching ABC World News Tonight right now. We got the TV on here in our studios. We have TVs on every channel. And I told you that the network news is not going to run. They're not going to run the story about the Biden crime family. They're just not going to do it. They're not, even though there was a 50-minute news conference this morning that had great documentation. Everything was well documented. Everything was well, proven. And ABC, could you care to guess, and I'll ask this to Laurel and to Paul Cross, what was the lead story tonight on ABC World News Tonight with David Muir? What was their lead story?
Santos?
Paul, would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the lead story was Santos. They're on their second story right now. Would you care to guess what the second story is?
Border?
Nope. The second story is E. Jean Carroll, the woman in the rape lawsuit with Donald Trump. Even though that was technically yesterday's story, and they had it in time for yesterday's ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, that is their second story of the night. Now, the third story that they're on right now is the border, and they're taking the Mayorkas audio that we played for you just a little while ago. So they are not covering the Comer news conference earlier this morning that laid out the crimes that the Biden family has committed since well before him becoming the president of the United States. Now let's talk a little bit of baseball here in Orlando, if we can. Pat Williams is a great guy. Every encounter I've ever had with Pat Williams, he was the co-founder of the Orlando Magic. Pat Williams is the man who is trying to get a professional baseball team here in Orlando. And Laurel, you've worked with Pat Williams longer than I have, and you know him even better than I do.
Yeah, like I used to produce the show that he'd do here where he would interview book authors, and he's a prolific reader.
And writer.
And writer, that's right.
He's got many books out.
I honestly didn't even know who he was when I was told to produce the show. So I just came in. I'm like, oh, you're a nice guy. And I started talking to you.
Yeah.
And he never once bragged who he was or said anything. It was later somebody pulled me aside and is like, do you know who he is to Orlando?
Right.
I'm like, no.
If it weren't for Pat Williams, we wouldn't have the NBA Magic team, period.
Right, exactly.
We wouldn't have the Amway Center in its current form. We wouldn't have it. So Pat Williams is not done. And Pat Williams, I think it's worth noting that he's, gosh, I don't know exactly how old he is. He's about Biden's age. I mean, he's up there in years, and he is.
He's 83.
83 years old. He is definitely a seasoned citizen, to be sure. But Pat Williams and some of his partners are trying to bring a Major League Baseball team to Orlando, and they held a news conference on Tuesday this week. And they kind of spelled out what the stadium is going to look like, or would or could possibly look like, and how much it's going to cost. The price tag first is $1.7 billion. Now, traditionally, in most communities, when taxpayers are on the hook for building stadiums, it's almost always a fiasco. It's almost always a bad investment for a local community. We're a little bit different here in Florida because we're not talking about using, real estate taxes or income taxes to build the stadium, but instead tourist tax development. So this would be the tourists would be paying for this, and not necessarily us. And we tax the tourists no matter what, and it's just a matter of where that money is appropriated from the tourist tax development task force, if you will. But the project would include a 45,000-seat transparent domed stadium. The images of this, are beautiful. I mean, they're not going to make plans to build an ugly stadium. They're not going to make plans to build a simple stadium. If they're going to build a brand new baseball stadium, it is going to be the best baseball stadium in America, period. That's what everybody strives for when they build their new stadiums for whatever sporting venture it is. But I guess my main question for everybody is there an appetite in Orlando to fill a 45,000 seat stadium for a Major League Baseball team that we don't have? Now, obviously, the whole deal hinges. Hang on, they're on their fourth story now on ABC, and now they're doing the Texas Army sergeant sentenced to 25 years in jail for shooting a Black Lives Matter protester. Governor Abbott of Texas says he's going to pardon him as soon as he gets a chance to. So he was basically Kyle Rittenberth. What was the kid's name up in, was it Michigan? Kyle Rittenhouse? Kyle Rittenhouse was his name. So he's basically Kyle Rittenhouse, but he's Texas's version. And unlike Kyle Rittenhouse, who was acquitted, this guy was convicted and sentenced to 25 years in jail. He's an Army sergeant, and he shot and killed a Black Lives Matter protester. So anyhow, so that's the story they're on now on ABC. That's their fourth story of the night, and they have not covered the Biden crime family. And at this point, if you're going to wait this late into the newscast, they're clearly not going to be covering it tonight. So let me get back to the baseball stadium. So where are they going to build the stadium? The stadium is going to be built, if it all happens. And again, this is 100% contingent upon Major League Baseball awarding Orlando a team. If Orlando is not awarded a team, or if a team does not designate a move to Orlando, then the stadium is clearly not going to be built. But if we do get a team, the ballpark would sit on a 35.5-acre plot of county land that is next to Aquatica's water park and across International Drive from SeaWorld. So can you kind of close your eyes and visualize where that is? So it's across, it's next to Aquatica and across from International Drive from SeaWorld. Yeah, I know where that is. You should be able to see that from, what is that, the beach line? Is that the 417 right there where it heads off towards? Is that what that is, Paul Cross? What's that road called?
No, the beach line is 528, but it is the 417 that is also south on there. That's the Greenway.
So all right, so that's the 417 that's right there by Aquatica, right? And the convention center?
Yes.
Yeah, so
it's 528 too. The 528 goes up there. 417 or the Greenway goes down into Disney. So the one that goes to the airport back and forth is the 528.
528. So it would be visible from the 528. I love this this transparent domed stadium. I'm curious how that will hold up during our afternoon thunderstorm season, sea breeze storms, and of course during our hurricane seasons. A glassed domed or a transparent domed stadium. I would be curious what exactly that material is made of, and if we could withstand the type of winds that we get here in Central Florida. The application calls for the tourist development tax funds to pay for $975 million. The rest of the $1.7 billion project would have to be funded by an MLB team, either the Rays or the owner of an expansion team. Are you guys down for this? Is there an appetite in Orlando for a Major League Baseball team and thus a Major League Baseball stadium to the tune of $1.7 billion? 844-580-WDBO or use the open mic now in the WDBO app. It's the Joe Kelley Show at 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. I highly encourage you to check out the stream, the video stream on the WDBO Facebook page, as we oftentimes have different conversations in the stream than we do on the air, and sometimes they're more, kind of PG-13 conversations there, because the FCC doesn't monitor us on the stream. They do monitor our signal here on the air. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about whether or not it's a good idea to spend $1.7 billion in Orlando to build a 45,000-seat transparent domed stadium and adjoining parking garages down near SeaWorld to accommodate a Major League Baseball team.
Man, Joe, thinking about that glass dome baseball stadium, I feel like it's just going to become a giant greenhouse for everybody inside. They're going to have to pump some major AC in there.
You know, I went to one of the games at Camping World Stadium. I went to the Guardians game, the Orlando Guardians, and that's the XFL. I went to their last game of the season, and my son Hudson and I sat in the sun. It was an afternoon game, and we sat on the sunny side. They didn't seat anybody on the shady side because it was a televised game, and they wanted to make it look like there were more people in the audience than were actually there. So they made everybody sit on one side, and as fate would have it, we had to sit on the sunny side. And my recollection of the Guardians game, if you were to say, Joe, hey, Laurel, if you were to say, Joe, what was your biggest takeaway from the Orlando Guardians game?
Joe,
yeah?
The big Guardians game thing. What about that?
So my biggest takeaway, is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, that.
Was how damn hot it was watching that game. It was so unbearably hot. And I agree with that open mic that if you've got a transparent stadium and the top of it, you know, you can go right to the sun. I feel like that could operate as a magnifying glass and just roast everybody that's on the inside. Well, time will tell if we end up with a new $1 billion stadium here in Orlando. My name is Joe Kelley. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight.
We made USAA insurance for veterans like James. When he found out how much USAA was helping members save, he said,
"It's time to switch.
We'll help you find the right coverage at the right price. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for. Restrictions apply."